that Rigi G slapped his boss in State House.
Oh.
He slapped his boss in State House. He gave him one slap.
Yeah.
Then I also remember it is alleged in the same State House, William Samoei Ruto slapped one Chesire. Slapped. Then I said, my God, what goes around comes around. When they are threatening to go and urinate at Mamangina's gate, it was said in public. And the president, up to now, has never even asked for forgiveness. I am telling William, who is my friend, I am telling, as the Waswahili say, chuma chake kimotoni. The marriage certificate is signed by how many people?
2.
It's signed by?
2.
It is signed by William Samoei Arap Ruto and Rigathi Godfrey Gachagua. They must go as a pair. They came as a pair, for heaven's sake, live as a pair. You can see Rigathi in his eyes, the eyeballs.
Yeah.
You can see they have doubled, tripled in size because of the weight of the office. It's not a joke, my friend. I think it's not a joke.
Told not to censor you, but when you get worse.
No. What gives him the idea that he can do as he wishes? This is not his personal house. This is not Sogoi. I think the president needs to stop being simplistic.
Is there a vacuum post Raila?
Play one clip where Ruto has spoken truthfully.
A very good day to you and welcome to Philip Kisia Unscripted. My name is Jadiel Kabiro. I'm absolutely glad that you've joined us once again this particular Thursday for our political conversations. Conversations we say we hope will help our political leaders in making better policy and better political moves. So much is happening in the country. Our conversation today is all about the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua, our deputy president. That has been the conversation in the country. I want to understand from Philip Kisia whether or not this motion of impeachment holds water, and 2, what the political future holds for President William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua. Just as always, Philip Kisia, it's always a pleasure to have you. Philip is a leadership and governance expert, former Nairobi town clerk. Great to have you. Now, nimejua direction of your place, I can now come by myself. How are you?
I'm good, Jed. You've been here several times. You mean you're that slow?
Yeah, directions.
I've always known you to be a smart little young man.
Me and directions, we are not good. But just as always, it's always good to start with Kisia's highlights. What have you noticed this week?
Well, Jed, thank you for coming and finding time. There are a number of issues that have crossed my mind, some of them which are extremely sad. There is this case of an alleged sodomy of a young man called Bruce. It's a matter that is in the public domain. I mean, I would really expect that by now police would have arrested the perpetrators of this heinous act and take the necessary, plus the sponsors, whoever was involved, either by commission, omission, directly or indirectly. This is something that should not be happening in a democratic society. People are free to express themselves. I'm not saying people should be abusive. I've also had time to look at the video that the young man recorded. I think he probably needs counseling, but whoever then retaliated by taking the action that he took, I think this is something that is extremely regrettable. And Jed, it should not be happening in Kenya.
Yeah,
not in Kenya. I mean, it's horrible. You know, you've destroyed that young man forever. How do you feel when an act like that one is committed onto you? And, you know, God was a smart person. He knew where that energy should be directed. It's sad, Jed.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that, you know, police this time round will not waste time, whether big or small. Please move with speed and arrest. We want to see the supersonic speed that you normally move with in harassing and maiming and killing the Gen Zs. Why are you slow on this particular one?
Okay.
The other one, Jed, and I'd want you to consider today playing 3 short videos. The first video is what I'm calling "What goes around comes around." That video where the current deputy president was talking to the former president. And he uttered so many things. He threatened the former president. And I was watching it, and I watched it several times. I don't know if they've come across it. Just play it for a few minutes, and then we can,
I'd like you to take time, President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, if you have time. You read the history on the French Revolution of 1789, if you have time. As the revolution was going on, the peasants decided that the bourgeoisie and the aristocracy should be behind. A man called Robespierre, to sort out that issue, created a machine called the guillotine. And with that machine, the protesters were able to behead people very quickly. And as they beheaded more and more people, they became impatient. The machine was too slow. They wanted a quicker machine.
This is Rigathi Gachagua talking about the political class and that machine.
you know,
Yeah.
It was very interesting. I've watched it, and I tried to understand what Rigathi Gachagua, had at the back of his mind. And then I realized he was actually making reference to the French Revolution that took place in 1789. It was, he talked about the aristocrats, he talked about the bourgeois, which is basically a war between the rich and the poor, okay? And the bourgeois, of course, this phenomenon came about during the Industrial Revolution, when they started creating classes, okay? So, and, why was it very striking? It appears, it doesn't appear. Kenya Kwanza is known to have come to power through, creating classes. They really hyped up this issue of the poor versus the rich. So I am happy. And then God has a way of showing people things. God has a way of reminding you that he gave you a brain to use. He gave you a mouth to speak good things, not to speak bad things, because those bad things end up coming back to you before you are called to your creator, before you are promoted to glory, okay? And he talked about this guillotine machine, that, people became impatient and, they asked for the guillotine machine and they started, dealing with the fellows very quickly.
Yes.
I am hoping that Kenyans are not getting tired to the point where they're saying that we are tired and we want not one guillotine machine, we want several of them to deal with these guys who have put us through pain. Through a lot of pain. So, they should pray very hard. And if they still have the prayer warriors in State House, these are the prayers that they should be making. They are the ones who started this story about the guillotine machine. It is coming for them, and it's coming fast and furious.
Okay.
The other video, Jed,
Yes.
that I found, and you must play it, where Rigathi happened to be warning his own boss. Just look for that video.
Mimi ni mtu ambaye nimefanya very intensive paramilitary training. Mimi kukitokea vita saa hii ni kuchukua bunduki na kwenda kazi. Na utatupigana hapa, utaona vile mimi nitafika watu.
The guy is talking about having gone through a very elaborate and thorough paramilitary training. I think just before he joined campus, or during campus, which is okay. And then again, Rigathi was a DO.
Yes.
And as a DO, he must have gone through that training. Then I remembered, it is alleged that Rigathi slapped his boss in State House.
Oh.
He slapped his boss in State House. He gave him one slap.
Yeah.
Then I also remembered, it is alleged in the same State House, William Samoei Ruto slapped one Chesire. Slapped. Then I said, my God, what goes around comes around.
Wait,
He slapped Chesire. in the same state house. Now his principal assistant is being alleged that gave him a nice slap. You know, these things.
They're saying he banged the table.
He banged the table and gave us. It is alleged. I was never there.
Yeah.
I've never been invited by William from the time he took over. But it's quite interesting that Rigathi would have taken that approach. And then I said, he's now crying, asking for help from Kenyatta. And I said, if you remember, Jed, we had an interview. And in this interview, I had given Rigathi free advice. I told Rigathi, my friend, you know, when you ask for forgiveness, in my culture, you do not do certain things. One thing that you are not supposed to do, Jed, that you are not allowed to do, you cannot talk to somebody who is dead. Rigathi talked bad things about Jomo Kenyatta. And I told him, if you want to be forgiven, I am willing to take you to the mausoleum. We stand there and you ask for forgiveness. He never took my advice. Then I said, where I come from, you do not make a mistake of harassing, mistreating somebody who is the age of your grandmother or even your mother. This regime, the Kenya Kwisha government, you know what they did to Mama Ngina Kenyatta, our grandmother, our mother. You know what they did.
Yeah.
And you know, it is written, even in the Bible. It is even in our culture. When you mistreat your parents, when you mistreat the old elderly, their curses are bad. It's like poison. So I again told my friend Rigathi, come, I take you to Mama Ngina Kenyatta so that you can be forgiven your sins. Because even one small boy was threatening to go and urinate. That boy, I'm telling you, he's cursed. And he should do something before it is too late. In fact, if William is a serious person, he should also accompany these people. Before he puts Rigathi under the bus, before he puts Rigathi on the chopping board, they should go and seek for forgiveness from Mama Ngina Kenyatta. Because they said bad things, they withdrew security, their boys threatened to go and urinate, to remove their nakedness in front of a grandmother. Where does it happen? Where was William when all these things were being said? Then the last one I said, Uhuru Kenyatta could have had differences with them, but he has been our president. There is a way you treat a former head of state. Okay? You don't treat him with contempt. You don't mistreat that person. And I don't think Uhuru Kenyatta was overly bad. There are certain things that he could have done better, but he had his time, 10 years, he's now gone. Let him be. Maybe if he stole public resources, then we can go for him. But don't just go for him to harass and embarrass his family. I offered Rigathi. You were here interviewing me. I said, Rigathi, come, I take you to the son of Jomo to seek for forgiveness. Now it is too late. He's frying the pan. He's frying.
He's saying done. That they've been having calls with the
Which
former
calls?
president.
We don't know. These things are done publicly. When they were mistreating former head of state, it was in public domain. When you are seeking for forgiveness, use the same channel. When they are threatening to go and urinate at Mama Ngina's gate, it was said in public. And the president, up to now, has never even asked for forgiveness. I am telling William, who is my friend, I am telling, as the Waswahili say, chuma chake kimotoni. He will suffer. And he's going to suffer. He should go and look for Mama Ngina.
So the goose have finally come to roost for Rigathi Gachagua.
Rigathi is the first one, but others are following. And before it does happen, I'm asking William to go and ask for forgiveness. The last video that I want to quickly look at. And again, is what goes around
comes around.
Look for that video where Ngeno issued a statement when the son of Jomo was president. And he was in the company of my friend Aaron, the Cheriot. Just look for that video.
I think if I had drafted the speech for Mheshimiwa Ngeno, That is what he attempted to address on that day. That there is an attempt to torpedo the Kenyan constitution, and every person who loves this country must rise up, stand, and tell off anybody who wants to take us back to the dark days. We know how difficult it was for Kenyans to get this current constitution. People paid with their blood, people paid with their lives. We cannot just be seen to be joking about it the way it is being done in this current republic. How do you solve a situation where two people elected on the same ticket can no longer see eye to eye? A governor and his deputy, a president and his deputy. How do you solve that problem? Those are the questions he's asking. Don't you know, good people, that 70 to 80% of the deputy governors in this country have no responsibilities? All they do is go to their offices, drink tea, and go back home in the evening. I see there's a lot of attention and focus only on the deputy president, but you forget that out of the 47 governors, you'll be lucky to count on one hand those who have responsibilities, those who still greet each other with their bosses, the governors. These are issues that we need to discuss openly as Kenyans and say, what do we do? Did we aspire too high and give a constitution that perhaps our ideals and our culture as a people don't allow us to live by?
They're talking about time for constitutional change. Why is this our final highlight for today?
Well, Jed, it's about what goes around, comes around. We are talking about constitutional changes. Yeah? When they were not palatable that time, they were not palatable. They didn't want to hear about any changes. But now they are pushing for changes. Okay? If you listen to that video, they are talking about, constitutionalism. They are talking about that this constitution was brought about by people who fought very hard. All of them, including William, was not part of it. All of them, but they are beneficiaries. But they cannot afford to talk about it. Okay? Blood was lost. Lives were lost for this constitution to be enacted. For it to come, and pass.
Yes.
Now, then I heard Cheriot, who is my good friend, talking about, you can't joke with this thing, the constitution, that you must first of all, implement what we have, and then think of changes, improve it later as we move along. And I agree with him. So are they saying that they have implemented the constitution in full, that they are now even proposing some changes in the same constitution they are proposing? In fact, they are being, they must understand that this article, I think it's 225, 1, subsection 1, subsection A, which they are trying to change so that they can change the term limits of the president, of course, and themselves. And you can see their game plan. They have tried this several times. They want Ruto to be in power for another 20-something years. Okay? Because he has done, by the time you're amending, he would have done 3, 4, 5. And then you say, okay, now he does 7 and 7. 7 and 7, you can see where they're headed to. They want this man to be around for more than 2 decades. So that by the time Ruto is leaving office, you'll be a grandfather. And maybe some of us will be dead. But they don't know even this Ruto man.
Yes.
He's on the 6th floor. He's on the 6th floor. He's fighting for 2 more terms. Who told him that God will be so merciful to him that will exist up to then? He should pray God. They must pray God to God that God gives them good health. They serve until the time Kenyans allow them to serve. If they are lucky, up to 2027. Because from what I'm hearing, Jed, from what I'm hearing, people are saying, Maliza uende sasa. In fact, they are saying not even 2027, Maliza sasa, uende sasa. So the attempt to change the constitution, which is a protected document, is not only repugnant, it is not only inconsistent, it is wishful thinking, it is stupid and stupidity of the highest order. And coming from Cheriot, Aaron, wake up. Wake up, my friend.
But there's this statement.
I know you're in power.
Yeah.
And you're happy. And you want your man from Sugoi to be in power for another 2 decades. No, it will not happen. Maliza uende sasa.
There's this statement from UDA actually distancing itself from
Come
this
on,
constitutional
Jade. Come on, you're smart.
changes.
Jade,
Actually,
you're smart.
the president
Jade.
retweeting.
Jade, come on. Jade, you're a smart guy.
Hey.
Jade, you're a smart guy. He, first of all, I think he's the MP for Faki.
Yes.
Robo or something. MP for Faki. I can't remember his name. They send him. Go and test the waters. Then he said, you know, we want to change the age so that you can be there until you're 75. Who had sent him? That guy is not interested. He doesn't want to be president. Who sent him if it's not William? Then, I think then William came up saying, oh no, this thing is too early, blah, blah, let us serve. Then they send this fellow, Chege, the man from the area. They say, go and try again. The man came, and there was a backlash. Serious backlash. So he took off. Then William came and said, no. I think we should focus on serving Kenyans. Let's not talk about, these things. Okay? We are not stupid. Then again, because people are so consumed with sending Rigathi home, they want to sneak in an amendment to change the constitution. Okay? Who has sent this man? Who sent him? If William Ruto was serious, he would do one thing. He would call a PG and tell the guys, stop this nonsense, allow me to serve for 1 term. If Kenyans think that I've done a good job, they may consider me for a 2nd term. Let him not issue roadside statements saying, oh, no, don't, no, and sending my friend Omar. Omar is my friend, my very good friend.
Yeah.
No, I want the president to speak in finality. Finality.
Not UDA
Let
statements.
him come and say, as a president, I am party leader. I order you guys. I don't want to hear anybody talk about this thing. Forget about it. But you see, he is very happy. Then he comes out to appear as if he's a good guy, that he doesn't want. The guys have tasted power. And they want to be in this power for another 2 decades. Boss, it's not happening. Pray that you have good health, first of all.
Yeah.
Pray that you have good health. That God will allow you, through good health, to live until 2027. Pray that Kenyans will not remove you from that seat where you're sitting comfortable. Pray, because Kenya can recall you. Just the same way you have put Rigathi on the chopping board. You have thrown Rigathi under the bus. You have put him on the frying pan. The same can happen to you through Kenyans. Kenyans hold the sovereign power is the people of Kenya. Article 2.
Yeah.
Where is the power? The power is the people. So if he's thinking that he can throw Rigathi under the bus on the frying pan and put him on the chopping board so that his boys can chop him, we also tell him to prepare for the same. He should also prepare himself.
Let's talk
but
about.
They must know
that
they must stop using diversionary tactics. Okay?
Yeah.
Our eyes on the ball. We know our eyes are squarely on the ball. Let them not attempt to try and defile the Constitution just because people are busy. We are not busy. Our eyes on the ball.
The Gachagua impeachment, the 291 members of parliament have supported it. Reason enough for Gachagua to be impeached? That is my conversation today with Philip Kisia. Philip, I'm looking at the grounds from this, tabled motion by Kibwezi West MP Mwengi Mutuse. And my question is there a solid enough reason, Kisia, solid enough reason for Gachagua to actually face the axe? You've looked at corruption cases, you've looked at cohesion issues. Should Gachagua face the axe? It's high time.
Anybody can face the axe. Here is on the chopping board. For sure. Because he refused to listen to us. Some of us know William better than he does. But he refused to listen to us. But let us first of all contextualize this thing.
What do you mean some of us know?
We know. I'm an elder.
Yeah.
I'm older than William. And I've been in this city Even all these characters found me in this city. And this is where things happen. This is where stuff happens. So I know, for sure I know him. Because we've dealt, we're friends. But first of all, let's put this thing into context. Jed, the country is in depression. There's actually a state of despondency. People are depressed. So William is leading a population of very depressed people. Very depressed. People are unhappy. Maybe 25% of the people, Aaron and the rest and him and his boys, are happy. But I'm telling you, almost everybody is unhappy, including you, Jed. So they seem to be focusing on the wrong things. Now, there is this member of parliament for Kibwezi, Honorable Mwengi. Of course, he's in order. He's brought up a motion, which is perfectly in order. You know, under Articles 150A, 151 subsection B, and of course Article 145, and Standing Orders number, I think 64 and 65. So it is properly before the House. I have no problem, because that is his right. He can do it. But I have two issues, even before I start looking at merits and demerits of this motion. Number one, the referee, the arbiter, the judge, the arbitrator has already passed judgment on a Kenyan called Rigathi Gachagua, and I'm not supporting him. Let him try, because there are certain things that are said. You try to advise him, he didn't listen. Okay, but even if somebody is considered innocent until found guilty. Now, when you have the judge, we saw Sholei, I don't know, she was holding a spear or something.
Yes.
I'm told it was not a spear, it's a stick.
It is a stick.
Yeah? But I'm told in Kalenjin, women are not given spear, they give them a stick. And she was moving around, and you know, she was bossing, and she was saying, you know what? And then I said, she must be the Gladys boss.
Let's watch that video.
Watch the video.
I am putting you, Rigathi Gachagua, on notice. You are going to be impeached. I can confirm that to you today. And I shall be in charge of that impeachment myself. So, and for those who have not understood, you know, they here at home, they call me Cheba Muren, Iron Lady. So I'm telling them, don't worry, no one can touch Ruto when I am there. So
She's saying she will face Rigathi Gachagua.
No, she says she'll deal with the Gachagua and any other person who tries to interfere with William. She's there to defend William Ruto. And I said, what is this guy talking about? Don't we have institutions at work that can protect the presidency? Okay? So number one is, it is unfair even for, and if Gachagua has good lawyers, it's first of all unfair. Either the two rescue themselves. One, Moses Masika Wetangula, who already had passed judgment, should not be part of the process. He's already started, so he would not have been part of the process. Gladys Boss Sholei should never have been part of the process, because she was holding something like, looked like a spear. So she's already killed Gachagua in my own interpretation. So that is number one. This man is presumed already guilty. In fact, the firewood is already there. They have already slaughtered the guy. They just want to cook him. Okay? That's the first. The second thing is, first of all, this parliament is unconstitutional, as pronounced by Emeritus Chief Justice retired Maraga. We are dealing with a parliament that is not properly constituted. So what gave them the moral authority to even decide that they can go through the process of impeaching Rigathi or any other person whether they are, when they are unconstitutional. They should not be in existence. And even now, because the president has allowed, because the president has been part of the process of defiling the same constitution, he also must be put in the same boat. So my view on this one, my view is that Lady Chief Justice Kome, Martha, must have the guts with the Supreme Court and send the entire presidency home, the entire parliament home, and she takes charge. Yes, we are within the constitution. She takes charge, and within 90 days we call for elections, because they are all, it's an illegality. You cannot use an illegality to cure an illegality. They are trying to use a constitutional process to deal with a political matter. Okay? So since they are confused, since they are all illegal, since they are all poor, they should not even be here. We should not entertain them. Martha Koome, and I know there are cases which are going to come before her and Supreme Court, they must have the guts to save Kenya and send these people. Now let me answer your question, Jed. You said the grounds.
Yeah.
Some of the, let's look at just some of them because of time.
Yes.
One of the grounds is diversion of public funds to another road that leads to a property where has an interest. Okay? Fair enough. That's too bad. Because personal interest is overriding public interest. So therefore, there's an issue to be dealt with. Okay? But my question is, does Rigathi Gachagua, who is just a mere principal assistant, have the powers to divert funds made for a public road, Malindi Kilifi road? Malindi Kilifi, a very important road. Does he have the powers? And how was that done? How was he able to divert? And the way I know William Ruto is a micromanager, he micromanages everything, that would have been brought to his attention. So, was he fearing another slap from Rigathi? Because he would have taken action. Therefore, that one does not hold any water. The other one, they are talking about that Rigathi, in the last 2 years, has accumulated illicit wealth, 5.7 billion shillings. Do they have evidence? And if they do, when did they realize that Gachagua has been accumulating wealth? Did they have to wait for 2 years? Did they have to wait? The other question would be, where was William Ruto? Because I know he receives intelligence reports every day. I am sure NIS must have told him that this man is involved in corruption. Can you deal with him? This is evidence. So either he's saying that he did not have that information, and therefore he's confirming what Rigathi Gachagua said, that we have incompetent people running NIS. Is that what he's saying? But if he had that information, that the man is accumulating wealth through some funny means, why didn't he take action? Ama aliogopa kofi yengine. So again, that is nonsense. But I would want to ask, if Rigathi Gachagua, number 2, who has no powers, the guy has no powers. I can tell you for free. He was able to accumulate 5.7 billion. How much, I would want to ask, how much has the president accumulated? Can he also declare his wealth when he came into office? Okay? And now, how much? And the entire family, plus his associates and friends, okay? Can he come out clean and subject himself to some scrutiny? All these ministers, some of them, we know them. We know them, Jed. We know them. We know where they're living. We know what they had. These people were as poor as a church mouse. Poor as a church mouse. But all of a sudden, and I had my friend, I think was it Don said, even the cologne and perfumes that they're putting has changed. These are people who could not afford anything. They could afford zero. Now, they're living in opulence. They are affording belts for 1 million, shoes for 1 million. They are moved. We know where they are living. Now, some of them have 2 homes. I know one was a home here in Lavington.
Yeah.
How did they afford Lavington? How? And we know where he came from. So when you subject somebody to scrutiny and saying that this man has acquired, we want that entire administration, the entire administration, the entire parliament to be audited. You will be shocked. The other thing that they're talking about, that Rigathi GACHAGUA sponsored Gen Z, then this man must be president. If he did, if he was able to mobilize the Gen Z, who are partyless, leaderless, and everything less, moneyless, everything less, water. The only thing they had was water and mobile phones and airtime. And Rigathi was able to, then he should be president. Because where was NIS? The president, Rigathi, and all these characters who matter sit in the Security Council. Are they saying that NIS were unable to pick this particular issue? Serious issue. Somebody who's planning to overthrow the government. It's a serious issue. Are they saying that NIS did not pick it up? Or are they saying they had information, but they feared the slap from Rigathi? I would want to know. And Kenyans want to know. The last one, they talk about, last one, Jed, they talk about threatening state officers. Come on, be serious, man. Be serious, Mr. President. We have seen you threatening even judicial officers. We've seen you threatening people. We've seen you threatening everybody. We've seen you. So you are people made from the same cloth. So how do you apply that one and say this one is threatening officers and this one who has threatened officers is left scot-free? Okay? Finally, tribalism. Talk about Rigathi being a tribalist. Because the only thing he has made mistake from my point of view is his pronouncements. Saying 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote. Now, and then he talks in mother tongue. Okay, you can excuse him. Because, he still has some rough edges. We're trying to work on him. But listen, Jed. Has Rigathi ever appointed anybody? Let us be, we are Kenyans. 50% of appointments are in one direction, from the president's tribe. It is in the public domain. All key positions are with the president's people. It is in the public domain. All permanent secretaries, cabinet secretaries, all CEOs, half of them are from one region. Are you saying if Rigathi is the one who made that arrangement, then he should be president? Because he forgot about people from Central and gave half of government to people from their side. Who is a tribalist here? When you are the boss, you must be held to account. Okay? So if Rigathi has failed, and the boss has waited for 2 years to start making noise through other people, through proxies, he is equally should be held to account, and the same punishment being muted. And I'm happy that Senator Manzo is tabling a censor motion, which, if it goes through, it will confirm that the man has been unable, to provide leadership. And if you're unable to provide leadership, then what do you do? You step aside and allow other people to provide
on
leadership.
this one, you agree with the activists who say impeach both? Because you're talking about all these grounds and you're saying Rigathi cannot do all this alone.
My friend, what powers does Rigathi have to accumulate wealth? What powers? What powers does Rigathi have to appoint anybody? What powers does Rigathi have to divert public resources to other things? What powers? Rigathi has no powers. Deputy president, deputy governors have no powers. If they are doing anything, they are doing it with the full knowledge of the boss. And if the boss fails to take action, you cannot take action on the junior and spare the boss. They must go together. And in any event, the marriage certificate is signed by how many people?
2.
It's signed by?
True.
It is signed by William Samoei Arap Ruto and Rigathi Godfrey Gachagua. They must go as a pair. They came as a pair, for heaven's sake, leave as a pair.
Talk
Take off.
Talk to me about this impeachment and the accusations, especially when it comes to undermining the presidency, ethnic divisions, national cohesion. These are some of the things Rigathi Gachagua has been accused of. What are the repercussions of this impeachment when all this is brought to light when it comes to political stability of the country?
You see, Jed, of course, because so far, the president has been able to get on his side some of his adversaries. Someone like Raila now is working with him. He's a guy who would have given sleepless nights.
Yeah.
So he's on his side. So you can, now half of the country who support Raila, or more than half of the country which supports Raila, would of course have calmed down for the time being, okay?
Yeah.
But people in Central Province, Jed, and you can take it from me, take this one to the bank. People on the ground, and that is why the MPs who are very careful, who want to come, who want to be re-elected in 2027, are not going to vote for this thing. Because they know the repercussions on the ground. I can tell you, Jed, that the ground in Central is boiling. They are boiling with rage. And people from Central are not known to be violent. Of course, they are very tough when it comes to business, very aggressive. But if elections were called today, if they are called today, this man will get 0. So, if you are talking about cohesion, you cannot talk about national cohesion by leaving out a section of any tribe or any region in Kenya. So by pushing out Rigathi or Gachagua, and I can tell you the ground is with Rigathi. He is not my guy.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, because my ears are on the ground,
Yeah.
people are listening to this man.
Yeah.
And they are seeing as a man who is being punished for speaking the truth, for being truthful. You know, Rigathi, for the first time, I'm saying, no, he's being honest. When he was asked about Adani, he said, how can I talk about Adani? And I have not been briefed. I don't know anything about this Adani thing. He has been very careful.
Yes.
And he's being truthful. And now people are seeing Rigathi or Gachagua as a man who is being truthful. He's saying, no, I will not support this thing because this thing is stinking. Okay?
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, the president has been able to quell, you know, some areas for the time being. Of course, he still has Gen Z to work on.
Yeah.
I don't see them buying into his idea. So he'll have the Gen Zs plus that voter block from Central Province. They are going to give him sleepless nights.
Yeah.
This man, if he had gained 2 kilos,
Yeah.
you wait and see. In another 8 weeks,
Yeah.
he will appear the way my friend Buddy.
You have to go there. But talk to me about the likelihood of now, because I'm looking at some MPs saying signing doesn't mean voting. There's some MPs from Mount Kenya who are saying this. What is the likelihood of the National Assembly and the Senate actually verifying the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua if it sails through?
Let me tell you, you know, this is a political process. And Parliament, you'll see, 2091 have signed. You know that number, even with your friend Ethan, my son?
Yes.
He has that number. This morning he was telling me, Daddy, do you know how many MPs have signed?
Yeah.
291 have signed the motion. And we've read, and people have read, including children, they know who are signed. Let us wait and see who will vote. That's the first thing. The second thing is that there must be public participation, thorough public participation. Not this fake one. Not this one you pay people to come and, you know, there must be thorough and adequate public participation. If it is not thorough and adequate, we shall go to court. And we expect that this thing is not taken to the county, up to the ward level. People must participate. These things, documents must be taken to the ward, let people sign and say yes or no. But I also suspect, as they are saying yes, no, or yes to Gachagua, they'll also add another one saying Ruto must go home.
Yeah.
They also add that one. Okay? So this thing is complicated.
Yeah.
And I think the advisors of Ruto could have misadvised him that, that we can easily deal with Gachagua. It is not possible to deal with somebody at that level, coming from a community which he cancelled. But Jed, I think the biggest question right now should be, does he have options?
That's where I'm going, because I'm thinking about Rigathi Gachagua. People are saying, look, it's better you resign. If they impeach you, you will not hold any public office ever again. What are the options?
Let me tell you. Let me first of all, must somebody hold a public office? Does it mean if you don't hold a public office, you'll die? So, Gachagua can decide to go up to the end. He can decide. And say, come on, buyer. I don't care whether I don't hold public office in future, but justice must be done. And that is why we are saying this thing must be taken machinani. Let the people decide. Not these few characters in parliament, and we know there's no parliament. I've said before, it is a castrated bull. We have no parliament. I think Senate is a bit, there's some little hope in Senate. I don't know that they'll get the numbers in Senate. I doubt. But, Jed, for me, of course, if Rigathi wants, he can resign. But if Ruto himself didn't resign for 5 years, he hung on to the office. He is saying he was being mistreated, but he refused to resign. Maybe he should tell us why he never resigned. And why do they want Rigathi to resign if he didn't resign? So that option is out for me. The other one is, and this can make him very popular, and they started coming out. He is slowly coming out, saying this Adani is not, I'm not part of this Adani, it's theft of public thing. This one, he's now saying, let him expose the rot in GACHAGUA'S government. Just the way William did when he was deputizing Uhuru Kenyatta. He was in government, but not in government. So Rigathi must go full blast and tell us all these bad things that have been happening in this Kenya Kwanza government.
Yes.
I know you're about...
you're the one who says
you're about to gag me. But Rigathi can do that one.
Yeah.
The other thing, of course, let him frustrate the process through the court, like they have also done. This Kenya Kwanza government, they make sure that, Kenyans are frustrated. So also, the court avenue is available. One that I will not advise Rigathi to go for is reconciliation. Because, see, when you are dealing with a snake, which part of the body do you go for? Which one?
Head.
Do you go for the tail?
No.
If you go for the tail, do you think it dies?
No.
So if he should not attempt to go back to the cage and say that now, at the way the Kalji are saying that they cannot reconcile. They should just hang on until the children are of age in 2027. Then they can separate or divorce. But for the time being, let them just accommodate each other. Yani, just accommodate each other because of the children. Because of the children.
Yeah. Because
of the children.
They try.
No, not trying.
Yeah.
Let them just accommodate each other. So even if they're driving, one can be looking that side, one is looking this side, but for the sake of the children. Of course, the other one, and Gachagua is doing it very, very well, is going back to the people. Because that's where power is. I've advised him before, he should not bother with parliament. It's a waste of time. He has no money to pay these people. You had the money that is changing hands.
Yes.
You've had.
Yeah.
So he should not waste his money. If he has some little money, like what they are saying he has made 5.7 billion, can he bring some of that money we eat to the Wananchi? If he brings, we eat. Yeah. Maybe we'll help you. But now wasting his money, he cannot compete. These guys, they have secret accounts. That expenditure. That's where the money is coming.
There's an MP was saying that Ichungo was allegedly given 4 billion to disperse.
And they gave them only 200.
They gave them only 200. But what does the future look like for Gachagua? We've given him very good options, but what does the future look like with those options that you've presented?
The future, for me, Gachagua, depends on how he plays out. Okay? It depends. If Gachagua is smart, he'll emerge very strong. Very strong. Okay? He may even survive this impeachment process. Let him go back to the people. Let him go back to the people. Let him waste no time. People.
Yeah.
Okay? Central. But we're also inviting him to Western and Nairobi.
Okay.
We're in charge.
But then,
Let him not waste even 1 minute with me. The ones who are gone. In any event, wanaenda wakie, because 2027 is just around the corner. Let them start also packing from Continental House and other place. Parliament building. Let them start packing. Let him, that 5.7 billion, he's accused of having misappropriated or stolen, whatever it is.
Irudi ground.
Irudi kwa ground. So that we can start helping him.
You've talked about 2027 right around the corner. Political future too for William Ruto. Kenyans are talking about viable options as a running mate for him. There is Waigoro, there is even Ndindi Nyoro hasn't voted, I guess, hasn't appended his signature, but that is also an option. Kimani Ichung'wah. What should Ruto do now because he has decided to take this step of impeaching Gachagua?
I will talk about, because in politics, particularly in Kenya and Africa, is tribal, region, personality, and so on and so forth. This Ndindi Nyoro, maybe some little good guy. Kimani Ichung'wah I find him a bit off the mark. But they're still too green. They're too green in everything. In politics, in management, in everything, they're too green. Their time will come. They cannot shoulder that responsibility. Because as a principal assistant, you're supposed to assist your boss. You should have the capacity, the experience, the knowledge, the know-how to advise your boss, to counsel him, to assist him in all aspects of providing leadership. Can these two young boys provide? Including, I'm told, even Waiguru. In fact, I would advise Waiguru to complete her term as a governor. Because you can come thinking you are coming to a higher office. First of all, you end up being frustrated, number one. Number two, this government may not survive. So you may end up being on the streets sooner than later.
So that's not...
So I would advise her to keep her job as a governor.
Not just for Waiguru, but for all of them. The government...
I would advise them. Because, see, the government is on shaky grounds. There are too many challenges and they are unable to surmount the challenges that we are facing as a country. So I would tell these young fellows, including this girl from Kirinyaga, to be careful. Okay? Kindiki, please, gain some experience. You have just been a lawyer, you're a good man, you have a good future. Sometimes you're a bit careless, talking a bit rough. Sometimes you even forget that you're servant leader. Most of the times you're okay, but sometimes you go off the mark. Gain some more experience. Because again, you're carrying the weight of that office. You can see Rigathi in his eyes, the eyeballs.
Yeah.
You can see they have doubled, tripled in size. Because of the weight of the office. It's not a joke, my friend. I think it's not a joke.
Told not to censor you, but when you get worse...
No, it's not a joke. Go and ask him.
Triple.
You have his number. Go and ask him. He'll tell you when I mean, there's no sleep.
Yeah.
But there is one guy.
Yeah.
And again, you must look at jailing. This Rigathi marriage and he'll bring to a couple that both are hot-headed.
Yeah.
They all think they're smart, even when they're not smart. They think they're smart. This is a very stupid mentality. They think they're smart. Even where they should calm down, they get confused. So if I was William Ruto, advising William Ruto, knowing that I'm hot-headed, I know everything, you need somebody who's calm, mature, experienced, somebody also who you'd, tend to respect. Say, out of respect, let me listen, I can't cross this line, and so forth. The person in that arrangement that he has, that I see fits the bill, somebody who will not give him sleepless nights. Sleepless nights is one, the son of Samson Mudavadi, Wycliffe Musalia Mudavadi. One, he has the necessary experience. He's qualified. He's mature. His demeanor. You know, he's a cool guy. And, you know, he takes time before, you know, he really takes his time before jumping into issues. So I think at this point in time, William needs somebody who is very mature, who has a lot of experience, both in leadership, management, and economic issues. Because those are the areas, and governance, those are the areas that William has a problem. Management, leadership, economics, and, you know, finance.
But
he's unable to manage.
Two things.
And you see, again, he needs a go-between. Because, you know him, he talks down, even to his cabinet. He needs somebody who is in between, who, yes, he's a yes, sir, but who has learned him, who will say, okay, fine, you know what the cabinet wanted to tell you, but they could not tell you. Somebody who can tell that in private.
Two things.
You cannot take a small little boy like who will get excited just with the office and the trappings of power, the Kinandindi Nyoro and the rest, and the Shungwa, who will get so mesmerized because of that, you know, the trappings of power. They'll get mesmerized and they'll forget doing the job. In fact, if William makes a mistake, if they succeed to eventually chop Rigathi, Godfrey Gachagua, if they chop him into pieces and they bury him, the biggest mistake he can make right now is to take an incompetent number two. That's the biggest mistake he'll make. Because I can tell you, he will not read the next budget.
You're talking about Mudavadi. Won't that be another slap to Mount Kenya region? And two, he's the prime cabinet secretary. Does he need to be elevated to the VP's, DP's position? Because he's still working for the president. He's still in charge of all the other ministers.
You see, in terms of pecking order, it's president and deputy president. Musalia is considered to be number 3 on the executive wing. What I'm saying is make him number 2. Get somebody else to be number 3, like Kindiki.
Okay.
Kindiki can now come and be the prime cabinet secretary and the minister for interior. Okay? That one can give it to him. But you need a strong number 2. But somebody who's not over-ambitious. Somebody who will be there to support you.
About the mountain?
Now, mountain, the ground is gone. Even if he appoints two Kikuyus, the ground is gone. You are one of them. Oh, you're just laughing. And you're one of them.
Don't ask me about my political stance.
No, I know off camera you'll talk to me nicely. I can tell you. I can tell you, Jed. The mountain has moved. So it doesn't matter what he does. It doesn't matter. Let him come with whatever. He can now start building the Mau Mau roads that he has stopped building. Let him now start building. But I'm telling you, because see, these are my people also. Jed, I've told you, my stepmother is a Kikuyu. I have a brother who's half Kikuyu. I have a sister, Stella, in the US, half Kikuyu. These are my family. For me, it's family. I know these people. Jed, I know you.
The ground is gone.
Your family, I know the ground is gone. So it doesn't matter. You can come with the honey, you can come with what? Let him come with dollars from Dani and so on. Nothing. He's getting nothing from the mountain.
Then finally tell me this.
Oh, you see? See, Kamodo did, and then Moi did it. They had Gigi Karaoke, they used to call him Grace Gadoni, and Kamodo, and all these people are there. But the mountain, when the mountain says no, they say it in silence. They don't bother. They just say it in silence. It doesn't matter what you do. You can do whatever, and it's done.
Finally, Kenyans are tired of this deputy president feuds that come. Is it high time we make this an appointive seat rather than elective, so that the president wants you gone, you're gone?
My friend, we are not going back. That thing of giving the president the liberty, the leeway of deciding who becomes the principal assistant, we are not going back. Okay? What we need to do is to ensure now that when because you are the one who's choosing the running mate, you must have a proper criteria. The person that I'm choosing, are we likely to gel? Do they believe in what I believe in? Are we going to work together? You must really, really do a thorough check and convince yourself that you are taking the right person on board. Okay? It is like saying that, there's a company, then you appointed a managing director, then you decide who comes in. No, it doesn't work that way. In terms of governance, there must be checks and balances. So you are given the privilege to take your time and choose somebody you believe you can work with, somebody who you share the same values. Don't get into marriage for the purposes of convenience. Because you just want, maybe you want to make children very quickly. Maybe your age is catching up.
Yes.
Your age is catching up, and you just find any chick, and you say, okay, this one
can reproduce.
Can reproduce. Let me. No, you must be careful, knowing that arrangement is not a short-term arrangement. It's a 5-year arrangement. Okay, so that nonsense of saying that, now, if Uhuru Kenyatta accommodated him for 10 years with his bad behavior, 10 years, Joed, with his bad behavior, but Uhuru still persevered with him. Let him persevere with the Rigathi for another 3 years.
And then choose another one.
And then, if he so wishes, he can bring in another running mate in 27. Okay? But for the time being, avumilie. Avumilie kwa sababu ya watoto.
Thanks for tuning into that conversation. A conversation about GACHAGUA'S impeachment. What do you think? Is it high time that the president decides, look, I'm tired of this politics in this country, let me stick with my DP? Leave a comment down below. Just as always, it's always good to have the final word from our guest, Philip. What is your final word this particular week? It's a new month, but the end of the first week.
Well, fellow Kenyans, smell the coffee. Fellow Kenyans, smell the coffee. Fellow Kenyans, have your eyes on the ball. These are diversionary tactics so that our airports can be stolen through Adani, so that 104 billion can be paid for a system, or for a health system, just a system costing 104 billion. They want to steal that money. And we know that upgrading a system like that one, even banks, forget about this, banks don't even spend $10 million. These guys, a bank does not spend, go and check on all these top banks. When they're upgrading the system, they don't even use $10 million. These characters are saying they want to spend 104 billion of our money. They want to steal our money. Then they have even come up with a more dangerous thing. But I can forgive them, because these are people who have a very high appetite for public land. They have already started losing documents, title deeds. Yeah? How can you lose a title deed? How? They must now tell us whether in the process of losing those title deeds that we've also lost land. Kenyans, smell the coffee, know that we have bigger challenges, including the model education, financing model for education that cannot work. Smell the coffee. Smell the coffee. Otherwise, if you sleep, if you snooze even for a second, all these things will happen.
Smell the coffee, smell the coffee, smell the coffee. That is Philip Kisia for you. Don't lose your eyes on the ball. Otherwise, we will lose this country. Thank you for tuning into this conversation. More than an hour of Philip Kisia Unscripted. Today, I've tried not to censor him, but he hasn't been that rough. Thanks for having us. It's always a pleasure.
Come on, man. I'm cool, man.
Have yourself a lovely rest of your day. Have a great weekend ahead.
What gives him the idea that he can do as he wishes? This is not his personal house. This is not for going. I think the president needs to stop being simplistic.
Is there a vacuum post Raila?
Play one clip where Ruto has spoken truthfully.